All right, family. We black once again. You already know you with the general, you with the best. You are not rocking with the best, family. We got some powerful, raw commentary on the conflict in the Persian Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz between the United States, Iran, and China. Want to keep you, updated on everything that's happening over there and the outcome of the blockade is going to be, what it will produce, how it will determine the direction of where we at right now. And so people think a war is won, and yeah, you can, 2 months, you got to have patience sometimes. And I know how people, people don't want to have patience because they dealing with the economic side of it, where everything go up, and so people don't want war. Everything go up: the rent, the food, the water, the transportation, everything go up. Clothes, because everything got to be imported, exported, and so on. And even when it get to the ports, you got to load it up on trains and trucks and drive it across the country. Hold on, family. So war is an economic burden on the people. It's an economic burden. A lot of people, barely damn, making it right now. And so to have this come upon them is very devastating. And so, that's why the government, they got reserves. And so they should be doing something to release this oil, the oil out of the reserve. And I think that's gonna help bring it down. And I think they is gonna attempt to do that to help bring it down. But the blockade is gonna bring China out of the shadows, and this is a proxy war too. China and Russia is using Iran no different than United States and NATO is using Ukraine. It's a proxy war. They trying to lace uh Iran with some technology. They've been saying Russia has been given Iran locations and satellite information, and so that they could pinpoint strikes on U.S. bases in the Gulf region. And then you got China and U.S. intelligence just busted, China trying to, ship some upgrades on they what they call air defense systems. These is handheld rocket launchers, and I believe it's the one that shot down the F-15 the other day, and so they want to get some more of that, so they can have some kind of air defense, because right now they ain't got no damn air defense. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got no air defense. United States just flying over there, like it's the US. They in full control of the airspace over there. And so, but China been fleecing that Iranian oil because they've been under sanctions. And so, in order for Iran to make a couple dollars, they didn't probably put dirt dirt cheap prices on that oil. So just say, for instance, oil right now is $100 a barrel. They might be giving it to them for 70. You know what I'm saying? 60 and $30 off the top. Or even more. They might be giving it to them for 60. I'll take it for 60. And so shit, by the time, you almost getting 2 for 1. You almost getting 2 for 1 if that's the price. But I'm quite sure they getting a deal because they want to stay afloat. You see, if ain't nobody buying your oil and you under sanctions and ain't nobody buying your oil, then you want to make some kind of money. And so with the blockade, that's gonna take your number one customer, you understand, out, out of the possibility of, getting, the product and whatnot. And and so that's gonna put a strain on China because now China can't get the knockoff price. They're gonna have to buy their oil at market price. They're gonna have to get their oil at market price, and so that's gonna hurt China. So they're gonna have to go in their pockets and double up. They're gonna have to come out their pockets with what they thought they was gonna be spending 60 for a barrel. They're gonna have to pay what everybody else gonna pay. They're gonna pay 100, 105, 110, whatever the market price is. And so that's gonna bring China to have to, nudge Iran unless China want to think they can break through the blockade. Now, if they want to go to war over it, then and China ain't ready to go to war. China cannot bring no war on the waterways to the United States. Okay, if that was possible, they would have been done it over there in the South China Sea. I believe they got a lot of ships, but when it comes pound for pound, they cannot compare. Their Navy cannot compare to the United States Navy. It just cannot do that. Even they submarines, you can hear that motherfucker damn near 2,000 miles away. Now they might be developing better technology, in the near future. I'm quite sure, and they might got some now, but they still lacking behind. And so to come into a conflict with the United States is guaranteed to cripple whoever, is going to be crippling. So are you ready to take your beautiful military and the quality of life and and throw that shit away for a fucking barrel and some people but you have other options. So you're not gonna go to war over that. So I mean, if they gonna do anything, they're gonna nudge the Iranians to go ahead and make and come up off the Gulf of Hormuz, and we're gonna talk about that. And the reason why it's best for everybody involved, even Iran and even they allies, because as that damn blockade lasts, the longer it lasts, you're gonna see. Depending on how many barrels China got, they might got some reserve oil over there, but once you start tapping into that reserve and that reserve starts to dwindle and dwindle, and you need to go and you got to buy at market price. That good deal you was getting from Iran, you gonna want that deal because your dollar, you're gonna be starting to spend hundreds of millions of dollars. This ain't just, you gonna be spending hundreds of millions of dollars. And so they're gonna nudge Iran. They're gonna nudge Iran. Russia don't care. See, Russia is like a little sinister, little sneaky friend, because they got a lot of gas and oil. So while Iran why they gonna blockade Iran, Russia gonna sell a lot of oil so that they can fund their war in Ukraine. So that's that might be the backdrop, that Russia is gonna make a come up for a minute, because they're gonna be selling, a lot of oil, and I believe they shit might be on some knockoff shit too, because they might be under sanctions, So they might be under sanction, and so anybody who buy oil from, but I think Trump might have lifted the sanctions. I think because of the fact that they sanctioned Iran. I believe they took some of the sanctions off of Russia. That's what I believe. And so that was, you can't goddamn win for losing. You know what I'm saying? you take one goddamn one of your enemies off, and then you have to release one. And so that's crazy. But China, this is what they're they are believing that by blockading that will first and foremost stop Iran from making money. You ain't making no money. I don't know how long you gonna do that, but you ain't gonna be making no money. And number two, China is gonna be without, is knockoff prices they was getting from Iran, and they're gonna have to go out there and buy oil at market price, in which mean they probably gonna have to go into their pockets double the amount that they was paying to Iran in over a period of time. That's gonna add up. So why wouldn't they say, you know what? I mean, I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna help you out. Just what I'm saying. Go on and that's what they're gonna. I'm gonna help you out. Whatever I'm gonna help you out. And you just stay with. They're gonna talk good. You stay with me, and I'm gonna work, and we're gonna come in, and we're gonna help you rebuild and whatever. But open it up. I believe that's what's gonna happen at the end of the day. Because if both of them you want to do, then they'll do it. The motherfucking ships will stay out there. You know what I'm saying? And in the meantime, they're gonna figure out something else. They're gonna reroute the economy. They're gonna reroute the economy. That's what is. And sometimes it may, they do it all the time. I mean, when some shit and it's a hiccup in the economy, they work their way through it. You understand what I'm saying? And what's gonna happen? They gonna devalue because they could start this shit again anytime, So they gonna have and I told y'all about military geography, these choke points, on the planet, these strategic power points on the planet, that if you get control of it, man, you got a very powerful piece, that can kind of bring particular nations to their knees, because they need access to these particular choke points. And the Strait of Hormuz is a choke point, obviously. It cannot be replaced at this time, but it can be replaced eventually if they focus on an alternative, which they have come up with, that they might cut canals through some of the Arab states, and other pipe lines that could lead to the Red Sea. They coming, they already get, but it takes them putting the money where their mouth is, and that's what obviously need to happen if they don't want Iran, you understand, to hold them hostage over there in the Persian Gulf. I want y'all to get on over there. We'll see. But I'm telling you, more than likely, China is not going to be happy about that blockade. And at some point in time, they're going to nudge Iran. We'll see. I don't think it's going to take long. I don't think, I think that the blockade within 30 days, most definitely by 60. I don't think it's gonna take that long. That's the long number. I think because you think about it, man, how many people China got? How many barrels of oil they gonna run through? And they thinking they could get that dirt cheap price. How long how long you think that, they'll burn through, that oil? They're gonna be in 2 months. I don't think they're gonna go no 2 months. I think they're gonna have Iran throw in the towel about Hormuz. I think they're gonna have them throw, because they're not gonna open it up until they come with that uranium. They ain't gonna open it up, and they ain't gonna wait for them to get it neither. They ain't gonna wait for them. They gonna get that damn uranium, man. So y'all just wait and see. But anyway, I appreciate y'all, family. Get on over there to Patreon. We got 5 presentations over there. have foundational Americans anchor themselves to a sinking ship? We got that over there right now. And are you the descendant of an African slave trader? Man, we be touching on some heavy, heavy mental, man. Patreon, the link is at the top of the chat. I got one more for tonight, family. Come and rock with the general, man, because you rocking with the best. You feel me? Black Power.